CEO humiliated a single dad over her shoes, then he pulled $15 billion and changed everything. The ballroom erupted in laughter when the CEO ordered a struggling single father to clean her expensive shoes in front of hundreds of guests. She thought he was just another desperate man trying to survive. She had no idea that the quiet father sitting across from her controlled access to a $15 billion investment fund, and that within minutes, he could change the future of her entire company. What happened next turned a humiliating moment into the most shocking lesson of her life. Daniel Carter had spent the last 5 years rebuilding his life after losing his wife to an illness. Since then, every decision he made revolved around his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. He worked long hours, packed her lunches before sunrise, helped with homework at night, and secretly worried about whether the money in his bank account would last until the next paycheck. Daniel was exhausted, but he never complained because Lily believed her father could solve anything. That evening, he had been invited to an exclusive business gala because a company he represented was considering a major investment. Daniel arrived in a simple but perfectly pressed gray suit, hoping no one would notice that it was several years old. Across the ballroom stood Victoria Sterling, the powerful CEO of Sterling Global, wearing a stunning red designer gown and heels that reportedly cost more than Daniel earned in a year. She was surrounded by executives, investors, and wealthy celebrities. Daniel accidentally stepped backward while trying to make room for a waiter, and Victoria's shoe brushed against a small splash of spilled champagne near the floor. Furious, she looked down at her shoe and then at Daniel. Instead of accepting his apology, she publicly blamed him for ruining her evening and demanded that he clean the shoe immediately. Several guests laughed. Someone even raised a phone to record the humiliation. Daniel swallowed his pride, remembering Lily's face and the promise he had made to always show her what dignity looked like. He calmly reached for a clean napkin, but before he could kneel, Victoria pushed it toward him with a mocking smile. The room grew quieter as Daniel looked at the shoe, then at the hundreds of people watching him. He could have exploded. He could have walked away. Instead, he simply stood and asked the event coordinator to bring him his phone. The coordinator returned with it, and Daniel opened a secure banking application. Victoria continued laughing, believing he was trying to prove that he had money. She had no idea what she was about to see. Daniel had not told anyone at the gala who he really was. For years, he had kept his personal wealth private because his late wife had taught him that money meant nothing if it could not be used to protect people. After her death, Daniel had inherited control of Carter Meridian Holdings, a private investment group valued at nearly $15 billion. He rarely appeared in public, allowing professional managers to handle the business while he focused on raising Lily. The company Daniel had come to evaluate that night was actually Sterling Global, and his investment group was prepared to become its largest financial partner. Daniel quietly authorized a message to his investment team. The proposed $15 billion partnership was to be suspended immediately pending a full review of Sterling Global's leadership culture. The laughter disappeared. Victoria's expression changed when her chief financial officer rushed toward her, pale and visibly shaken. He had just received confirmation that the anonymous investor they had been desperately waiting for was Daniel Carter. The man she had ordered to clean her shoe was the person holding the future of her company in his hands. Suddenly, the ballroom that had seemed so glamorous felt painfully silent. Victoria realized that Daniel had never needed to impress anyone. He had arrived without security, without expensive clothes, and without a crowd of people announcing his importance. He had simply wanted to judge the company by the character of the people running it. And what he had witnessed was enough to make him reconsider everything. Before we continue, if this story reminds you that kindness and second chances matter more than money or status, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, leave a comment, and subscribe to Echoes of Kindness for more inspiring stories. Daniel did not destroy Sterling Global that night. Instead, he gave Victoria one chance to change. He told her investment committee that the company would not receive a single dollar until its workplace culture changed, its employees were treated with dignity, and its leadership accepted responsibility for humiliating people simply because they appeared less wealthy. Victoria expected punishment, but Daniel offered something harder, accountability and a second chance. Weeks passed. Victoria personally visited several of the company's lower-level departments and discovered problems she had never bothered to see. Employees were afraid to speak around executives. Janitors were ignored. Assistants were treated as invisible. Contractors were mocked for wearing inexpensive clothes. The incident with Daniel forced her to understand that the problem was not one rude moment at a gala. It was an entire culture built around judging people by appearances. Victoria changed. She created new workplace policies, increased wages for support staff, established an employee hardship fund, and required executives to participate in community service. Most importantly, she apologized to Daniel without asking for his investment back. She admitted that she had treated him like he was beneath her because of his appearance, and that realization had embarrassed her more deeply than anything else. Daniel eventually approved a smaller investment, but only after seeing genuine change. He also established a scholarship program through the company for single parents trying to rebuild their lives. Lily became the inspiration behind it. Daniel wanted children growing up in difficult circumstances to know that their parents' struggles did not define their future. Months later, Daniel returned to the same ballroom with Lily beside him. This time, Victoria greeted them at the entrance herself. There was no humiliation, no laughter, and no judgment. She simply welcomed them with respect. Daniel looked around the room and realized that the greatest thing he had changed was not a company's financial future. He had changed the way people inside the company looked at one another. If this story touched your heart, please support the video by liking, sharing, and subscribing to Echoes of Kindness. Your engagement helps these stories reach people who may need a reminder that kindness still matters. And before the ending, comment, "Kindness is true wealth," if you believe a person's value should never be measured by their clothes, shoes, job, or bank account. Because sometimes the person everyone laughs at is the one who has the power to change everything. And sometimes, the greatest wealth is not the $15 billion sitting in a bank account, it is having enough humility to treat every human being with